Gerber. Today we're going to talk about how couples can talk about money to make their relationship great. We are going to talk about money as one of the main causes of divorce. Well, people say money is the main cause of divorce. I say lack of money or the way that you approach money as a couple is one of the very major causes of divorce. You know, when you marry, you promise for richer or for poorer. Well, if money's a problem, divorce can be devastatingly expensive. If you want to talk about expense, divorce is expensive. So as a couple, one of the main things you need to do is make sure that you learn how to talk about money, how to handle money, how to get along over money so that it doesn't become a cause of divorce. Now let's talk about some of the reasons why money could be a cause for divorce. One is a loss of a job. Immediately, income goes down. There's still expenses there. A loss of a job can be a major money problem. So no job. How about a low pay, like they reduce your pay, or maybe the number of hours get cut on your job. So all of a sudden your income goes down, and again your checks are smaller, but your expenses are still there. One of the big ones I see a lot is medical bills. Medical bills and emergencies, like your car has to be repaired or there's some household repairs that have to be done. But medical bills are devastating. There's something that, you know, with proper planning you can probably avoid some of the medical bills, but they still can be a devastating problem. Also, spending habits. Now, spending habits is something that you control and something that you can change with proper habits and proper education. A lot of times spending habits come from overspending or not having a budget or not talking about, like, how much money can one or both of you spend without checking with the other one, or that it would be okay and won't wreck your budget or hurt you as far as being able then to pay the other things that you owe. And then one of the last ones that is a real problem is debt that you may have come into the marriage with, or because of one of these major things, a job loss, medical bills, maybe a run of bad spending habits. Now you have this overhanging awful debt that causes you terrible problems. But one of the main things to overcome money problems, the problems that cause divorce with money, is to learn how to communicate and talk about money. If you haven't talked about it or you don't talk about it, there's going to be some problems. Now, there has been some studies done, and it has been proven that the more often a couple fights or disagrees over money, the more likely they are to divorce. So you need to have some good money communication, money agreements in place so that you don't have disagreements or fights over money. Hey, you know, if it's one of the leading causes of divorce and we know that and you can do something about it, you need to be responsible as a couple and do that so you don't have those problems. This is how I would tell you to lay out talking about money. First off, anytime you're going to have a discussion about money, make sure you set a time when it's unhurried. You have enough time to talk about money, to discuss it, to think about it. Also that the location is somewhere private and comfortable and quiet, somewhere that you can concentrate together, that you're not interrupted, and that you would also have access to any necessary documents that you need to have. So that's something that I would tell you to start with, setting up actual appointments together that you talk on a regular basis about your money goals and habits and rules. The next thing is money rules or discussion rules, let's call them, that monitors or tells you what kind of behaviors and manners do you have to talk about money. One is don't get angry or upset. No yelling, no calling names, no eye rolling. Oh my gosh. That's a big one. There's nothing that sets your partner off worse than rolling your eyes when they say something. No name calling, and above all, no blame games here. If you're sitting down to talk about money together, that means that you need to talk about money, and if you start blaming, you get nowhere. You need to have patience. Talk with even vocal tones that aren't accusatory or angry. Take deep breaths if you have to. Take a break if you have to. Come back to it later. But have respect when you talk to each other. Be honest. Be loving and have loving responses. And remember that there's two of you. You have to consider the point of view of the other person. And then you're going to have to repeat this on a fairly often basis. Probably, once a week in the beginning, once a month after that. You need to know where you're at and discuss it so that both partners know where you're at in your financial situation, which brings me to another point that I want you to remember that you need to do. This one will really, really help if you will implement this into your marriage, and that is make money goals. You need to make money goals and set a pattern or set yourself on a path so that you both have the same goals that you're working toward. You both have a budget that you work with, that you both know where you are at with your money. You both know what's your credit score. You both know how much money do you owe on things. What's the income coming in? How is it spent? There has to be some kind of consensus on these things in order for marriage to work. You'll need a budget of some sort. You do need to know how the money is proportioned and spent, and how much money you're going to have for various things, because if you don't, you will run out and you will overspend, and all of a sudden you won't have enough money, especially if you haven't budgeted for an emergency fund, which is super important. Emergency funds allow for these things that come in, like a loss of a job or some short hours or a medical bill. So a budget's going to be very important. And then assigning the roles. Who pays the bills? Who earns the income? Do you pool the money together, or do you have separate accounts? And if so, do you each work and then pull part of the money? Do you have an account that the bills are paid from, and maybe another one that vacations come from, or that emergency funds are in? You have to assign those roles and those jobs in your marriage over money, because if not, you're going to have these clashes and these arguments. So you need to make a plan, and you have to have a reason in place to save and a plan to save money. Whether it's to save money for something specific or for an emergency fund, but you have to have a plan in place. And then there are tools available. Use the tools that you can, whether it's someone to talk to, whether it is a budget planner. You might even need at some point to have a personal banker. If you have real money issues and you can't do it together, you may have to have a third party in there. But I think with the proper communication, if you've got a good budget planner, if you both study up on how to use money and how to run money, and you have your money goals together, I think you can do this together. But it will take some planning, and it will take communication. You want to have reminders set in place. Again, a good budget planner will help you with that. You need to have a budget planner will help you with being able to have reminders in place, like how much money can you spend on this, or I can spend $100 without asking my spouse in a month and be okay because we budgeted that in. You might want to have in place things like credit limits. Maybe you should just cut up your credit cards. If you're not good with credit cards, get rid of them. I had a friend who put it in the freezer until she had to buy something like an airline ticket that you had to have it for. But other than that, don't use them if you have any issues at all. Use a debit card instead, because that will then take it out of the account. If there's no money, you can't spend it. Although be very careful with bank charges. Bank charges can get you in major trouble. That is gaining knowledge. You have to gain money knowledge. And again, there are tools in place that can teach you these things. Some of my next discussions that I'm going to be having with you will be on how to budget, and we're going to go through a budget planner and how to do that. We're going to go through how to set goals as a couple. We're going to go through spending habits, how to create good spending habits. Some of the money rules and things that happen, like what happens when you go over on your credit card? What kind of things do you need to know as far as banking credit cards and spending and returning merchandise. We're going to go through a number of things in the next few videos that will help you with these things. How do you get out of debt if you're in debt? We're going to go through a number of those things, but the first thing that you have to do is you have to be willing to start talking to each other about money. Sit down and have a discussion. What do you both expect? What are some of your roles? What do you want money to do or not do for you? When you've done some of these discussions together, then you can start making budgets and plans for the future. And once you get rid of that stress of money being a big stress because it's a conflict between you, then money is good and money is fun and money will work for you as a couple. But you have to get to a place where you are in agreement in what money is doing for you and how you're spending it and how you're making it. So I am glad that you joined me today. I think that if we can get you talking about money and solving your money issues, your marriage is going to be so much better and so much more satisfying and fun. So let's start talking about money.